Hello, I just wanted to make this uh, little video about the subject of what you might call outliers within society, yeah, because it's something which I think faces us, especially at this sort of like stage of things, yeah, with the so-called liberal society and the way it's failing and falling apart and the way it's destroying itself, really. Because obviously there are outliers, there are minorities, yeah, whether those are natural, what I call natural outliers, such as, things like, homosexuals who just occur everywhere. They are a part of the variation of humanity, yeah, or unusually feminine men, unusually masculine women. People I know who are not going to fit, who don't fit, but they are a minority. Yeah, and then there are other sorts of outliers, which would be, for instance, certain kinds of migrant or subcultural communities. Yeah, which would be another thing. But the thing that concerns me is that even if you're an outlier, yeah, you live in the society that is comprised of the majority of people. Yeah, that is the society you live in, and so the question for minorities and for outliers is, how do we thrive together? Basically, I think it's not a question, as was put forward or pushed from the 60s onwards. Basically, was a question of liberation. Yeah, I don't think that is a mature view. And I don't think it was even responsible for it wasn't responsible for the progress that we made. Yeah, we made progress on the basis of the goodwill of the majority and on the basis of a long-standing work to try and bring about understanding. Yeah, but the fact is, if you're a minority, you are dependent upon the goodwill of the majority. There is no revolution for minorities, and why would you want one? Revolutions are horrible, yeah. But that is kind of like one thing, really. We are in that position where we gain what we do, yeah, through an increase in understanding, yeah. But also, this is really important. That doesn't mean, because this whole liberation idea has completely corrupted things. Yeah, there's no liberation. What we have is an integration, basically, not liberation. Yeah, what we have is an increase in understanding, and on the part of minorities, a shouldering of the responsibility that comes with that acceptance. Yeah, and everyone has the responsibility to care for their society. Everyone has the responsibility to assist the whole to become the best whole it can be. Yeah, yeah. And the fact is that we are integrated into something. We're not some, I don't know. We're not some alien thing that then that gains liberation, and then what? What? Autonomy? There isn't any autonomy. Yeah, so I think those are kind of important things. But right now, liberal society, the liberal project, is failing, and it's failing because of its contradictions, because of its delusions, because of its errors, basically. Yeah, but it is failing. And for minorities, such as the homosexual community, yeah, the homosexual population, yeah, for minorities such as this, there arises the question of, how do we face this? Yeah, how do we face this as minorities? Because let's face it, our causes, yeah, have been used against society eventually, yeah. Not what we wanted, not how we planned it, yeah. And basically, after we gained our rights, yeah, that's when their remnants were taken over and colonized by a much more malign force, yeah. But the question for, I think, for minorities and for outliers is, how do we address the failure of a of this liberal project, and where it's gone, yeah, how do we address that failure while still maintaining the positive aspects of a liberal society? That's what I really want to know. And I think understanding the positions of outliers is a thing, and we need responsibility, we need a little bit of humility, frankly, yeah, because it's the majority of people who shoulder the burden of everything, yeah. And okay, we do too, yeah, as members of society. But, you know, we've got to a terrible situation where essentially we've seen a corruption of justice, a corruption of education, a corruption of policy, a corruption of the judiciary, yeah. And our society is failing, quite clearly. And the sort of question that arises for me, I know this is a bit rambling, but the sort of question that arises for me as a homosexual man is, and there's other things too, you know, in terms of my religion, my spirituality, etc. But the thing is, as an outlier, yeah, how do I face this responsibly, and with responsibility, yeah. But also honestly, in the sense of like, nobody is going to forfeit their capacity to exist and to gain responsible fulfillment. Yeah, one of the things that comes up here, I think, is the whole whole sense of the private sphere. Yeah, that there is a private sphere, yeah, which people have been able to enjoy, which acts as a kind of experiment for living, essentially. Yeah, that private sphere is very, very important, and it's being undermined now at the same time as the liberal project is failing. You know, privacy is going, surveillance is increasing, censorship is increasing. We're entering a very, very dangerous time. So that is one of the keys, I think. It's understanding, I think, the function of the private sphere. And how important that is, and defending it in many ways, yeah. We didn't need to be at this place. We didn't need to get to this place. Obviously, there are various political analyses you could use as to how we got here. But my interest is in the position, and what in this video is in the position of outliers within society, minorities, and how they can address this position, yeah. Because I think it's important for us, really. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for today. Thank you for listening.